again, doing my morning chores and taking a look at what's going on in certain industries in terms of how the surveillance and security industry affects other industries and vice versa. My morning chores, by the way, consist of just me wiping down my car, doing some things around the house, reviewing, as I mentioned before, reviewing, what's scheduled for today. I think today we'll take a little day trip and go out to what area is that? San Luis Obispo, I think. There's a particular Hilton Garden Inn where we hang out at and where we check out Pismo Beach. What is it? I can't remember the area. San Luis Obispo and adjoining areas around there. Very nice place to hang out. There's some sulfur, hot springs, and different things going on in that area. Just very nice little getaway. In between vacations, we like to do these little short trips, a couple of days here, a couple of days there, and just get away and relax and take it easy. Break up the monotony. Sometimes you want to break up the monotony. Anyway, this particular session. Oh yeah, who am I, by the way? Monty Henry, owner of DPL Surveillance Equipment, full service surveillance and security equipment company, lifetime guarantees and warranties on all the products, 24/7, 365 tech sales and customer support, and a huge growing video library. The library is basically demonstration products, also a number of other videos and such that I think you guys would be interested in, pertaining to technology, anti-terrorist related information, surveillance, counter-surveillance, you name it. Humongous articles directory. As I always mention, take advantage of the free multimedia center, basically, is what I call it. I think I'm going to officially structure it and call it a multimedia center on the website. But right now, you have articles here, you have blogs directory, you have podcasts and different things. Just click on the links at the top of the page, and you'll be able to easily access the free information and perhaps get an edge in your competitive field. Pretty much no matter what field you're in, there's something that we're talking about that you can get some ideas and get some a competitive edge again in your particular industry as a professional, or just save time and money and effort if it's just personal. Now, we redesigned the website also so that it's easier to use, easier to navigate, easier to find, whether or not you're using Google or Bing or Yahoo or whatever, DuckDuckGo, who knows what people are using nowadays. But use your favorite search engine, use your mobile device, and the website should actually load quickly, be easy to navigate, and be easy to search and find on your favorite search engines as well. Now, today's podcast is all about how home sellers and realtors are using Spycams to gather intelligence on prospective buyers. Now, this really, I think, lends itself very well mainly to home sellers and realtors who want to find out what's going on as the buyers move about on the various properties. And it can be commercial, it can be residential, it doesn't matter. If you're gaining information about the conversations of your clients or prospective clients, then that means you are getting an edge over the competition in terms of what are the conversations like. If you hire a staging company, for instance, and you're selling residential homes, you really want to know whether or not the ways that you're staging that home, the furniture and everything in it, is actually producing or invoking conversation. And if it's producing or invoking conversation, for instance, is it positive, is it negative, or is it neutral? So there's nothing better than steering the conversation, steering prospective clients along the way to make sure that you show as much of the property and get feedback on certain things that are happening in that property. Whether it's commercial or industrial or residential, it doesn't matter. More information is always better. So anyway, a lot of brokers are finding out that mainly because sellers have been feeling like they've been underserved when selling those properties. Now they're starting to use more and more the surveillance technologies that my company offers. For instance, when we have when customers install our surveillance and security equipment in their homes, it doesn't necessarily come out when that home goes up on the market. Usually, the cameras stay in the homes, and the brokers show the homes, and the cameras may or may not be hidden, but they're definitely left inside of the home for the most part. So sellers will get a very good idea in terms of whether or not buyers feel enthusiastic about purchasing, or maybe not so much, okay? And that usually tells sellers who could very well be looking in, listening in remotely, and they have good reasons to do so. There's been situations where buyers have been very reluctant to pay the type of money that the sellers want, and sometimes those sellers want to know as soon as possible what the reluctance is based upon, so they can make adjustments if necessary. And then also, it really doesn't hurt brokers to find out as much as possible about what things are important to prospective buyers. In other words, if the husband and wife are discussing certain things and they're put off about the way the open house looks, they're put off about certain details, maybe landscaping, maybe roof repairs, anything, whatever it is, if you can find out as much information as possible, as soon as possible, then you can start to address those issues before they really become issues. So, for better or for worse, I think brokers and buyers are going to have to get used to the idea that because of the advent of home automation and surveillance technology overall, a lot of these homes are indeed being monitored, and rightly so. In the case particularly where there's been situations where certain items have been coming up missing, particularly I think in the model homes. When you have a model home and you have clients going upstairs and down the stairs, and these customers or clients are going this direction, the other clients are going the other direction, it's hard for brokers to monitor all that activity. And believe it or not, certain things have actually been coming up missing in those model homes where people are picking up things and just taking them for themselves. And in order to eliminate or reduce the amount of theft or damages or whatever going on, a number of brokers and realtors have been using surveillance cameras to keep tabs on what's going on when you have a situation where things could come up missing inside of a home due to people just walking off with certain things that aren't nailed down. So, and then also in the case of safety, just in case a female broker or salesperson or whatever is unaccompanied by a male figure, but she has to spend time in a home with certain clients that may not be that may have ulterior motives as far as harming someone or whatever. Sometimes you just want to have an extra set of eyes. on that situation to make sure no one gets hurt or harmed or anything like that. And then also just to monitor the quality of the conversation, what was disclosed. If you can find out what was disclosed in a verbal conversation versus the response from a client, if a broker brought up something and the client says, no, we didn't discuss that, or vice versa, it doesn't hurt to have more information about that conversation as compared to less conversation sometimes. But it looks like this is one of the things that the National Association of Realtors is indeed looking at as far as the role that technology is playing, how it's going to be handled, if cameras or camera systems are included in a transaction, or maybe historical data from those cameras. Is that going to be erased, or can it be erased? Most of the times it can be erased, but someone should try and address that issue before it becomes an issue. So I think the National Association of Realtors is actually going to have to take a look at technology and what to do about it, and how to prepare for situations where there's camera systems and such in the home. Looks like Jill Comfort, she's a Phoenix-area Realtor, had a good feeling about the cream-colored stucco house she planned to show her client, a young man relocating to the city from California. It was in his budget and in the right location, and had a huge pool and backyard that would allow him to entertain. It also had multiple surveillance cameras that recorded everything that went on as prospective buyers walked through. When we were walking out of the hallway, we could see they were following us, Comfort said. Both agent and client felt awkward, she added. I can understand where some sellers are leery of strangers walking through their house, but that's what happens when you put your house on the market, Comfort said. Her client, she said, was creeped out. So, there's going to be some situations where the creepiness is a non-starter, and then other situations where it won't be such a big deal, but definitely something to be addressed. Let's see here. The trend has spurred what Joan Rogers, a broker with Windermere Realty Trust in Portland, Oregon, calls a "Hey, be aware of this conversation" among her colleagues and counterparts. Be aware of this conversation among her colleagues and counterparts. Rogers says the discussion started in her area about 3 years ago, about the same time that the integrated home media and security became a thing, with devices that could record your home and report back to you on your smartphone. The conversation started happening that it would be wise to watch your mouth because you just never know what device might be recording. So again, this is kind of important because remote surveillance and remote monitoring is definitely very doable, and the prices and the technology is becoming more and more available to the average everyday person. So something realtors got to keep in mind. And I think the payoffs are kind of interesting in that this is intelligence, this is information again that could help the brokers and the realtors find out what is actually going on inside these homes and inside these commercial buildings, inside the on the land, if it's property or something. Sometimes you just want to get an idea, and depending upon what type of surveillance technology you have, that really determine what's happening, what can happen, what can happen. But definitely, because I'm a surveillance and security equipment veteran, I've been in the business for 20 years at least, and I can tell you that we can basically put technology anywhere. It can be outside the home. So if you're standing on the porch, or if you're in the backyard, if you're on the patio or whatever, it really doesn't matter. Every place is a good place are a candidate for surveillance technology, and you just want to be aware of the fact that it's a good possibility that the conversations can't be monitored, and it's always in your best interest to keep it in mind. If you're a buyer and if you're a seller, just keep in mind that you can gain information again from the prospective customers or clients, and hopefully create an environment that's more conducive to getting that house sold, as compared to having a situation where you're making changes and improvements and doing certain things and you're not getting anything from it. So it does help to make sure that you try to use this information. Same way a salesperson would use information if selling a car or anything else. It's the same thing, basically. Anyway, I think we're going to wrap up this particular session here. I'm going to include an article, a very informative article about the National Association of Realtors and all the details about this particular situation about putting surveillance technology in model homes and sellers who have existing surveillance systems using that system to monitor what's going on inside the home. Again, you want to be aware of theft prevention. You want to be aware of where people are in your home or not. Sometimes you want to just use it to increase the opportunity to get people from room to room, place to place, and it doesn't hurt to know where they are, so you can make sure that all of the house is being seen, just like in a grocery store or something like that. If there's very few people in this line and a lot of people in the other line, then you could get an idea where to send your clerks and your cashiers or something, providing where the activity is in your home or your store, whatever it is. Okay, so anyway, we're going to wrap up this session. If you have any questions, I'm Monty Henry, veteran of surveillance and security technology for 20 years plus, and take a look at the article, get out of it from the perspective of a buyer, seller, or a realtor, or whatever. Get out of it where you can, and good luck out there. And as we like to say, at the conclusion of every session, before I forget, we are looking at phasing out the use of we're phasing out our relationships with MasterCard and Visa and American Express, and we're looking at more cash-like instruments or transactions like Bitcoin, cashier's checks, money orders, wire transfers, and such. We're tired of feeding the monster that's the credit card industry and the way they operate. All of the exorbitant fees, all of the chargebacks, all of the disputed transactions, just a lot of overhead and a lot of unnecessary middlemen and intermediaries that aren't adding any real value to the transaction. We're getting away from that. We're getting away from that completely, and just something to take note of if you want to do business with DPL surveillance equipment. So you guys have a great day. Stay safe out there, and we'll be talking later. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.